Today, we've got a high-grade figure set and a low-proof mocktail, and by low, I mean 0 since there's no booze in it at all. For this fun little one, you'll need blueberry syrup, lime juice, club soda, and mint. If you do want to spike it up a bit, swap out 1 of the ounces of club soda for an ounce of white rum. Or, if you'd like something sweeter, you could always go for a coconut rum or a whipped cream flavored vodka. Both of those would go well with the blueberry and lime flavors. For the mocktail, in a rocks glass with ice, add a ½ ounce of lime juice, ¾ of an ounce of blueberry syrup, and top it off with about 5 ounces of club soda. Make sure that syrup is all mixed in there. Top it off with some mint, and enjoy.
Cheers!
The Bandai high-grade Godzilla figures may be my consistently favorite toy line from any company ever. From the price point, to the paint and detail, to the sheer number of figures released, I love them. And I'm so glad the line is continuing into 2025. In January, we got the latest wave of the famed capsule toys, Godzilla vs. Mothra. Each HG figure wave is usually centered around a specific film, giving us that film's kaiju cast and then rounding out the roster with some other guys if need be. This one is a little weird though. We get 4 figures: Mothra in the yellow capsule, Batra in the red capsule, Millennium Godzilla in the green capsule, and Baby Godzilla in the blue capsule. You might notice that only half of them are actually from Godzilla vs. Mothra. The irony here is that we already got a Mothra, Mothra larva, Batra, and Batra larva in previous high-grade sets. The only one we don't have? Godzilla 92. We have a 91 and a 94, but no 92. Why they didn't give us one here is beyond me. Now I gotta start off with the biggest problem. When wings or other parts are too long, they have to bend to fit inside the capsules. This leads to warped wings, which is not that big of a deal unless they're warped in opposite directions like on my Mothra here. To fix it, you could either stick them back in the capsules bent the other way for a while, or heat them up and then put some heavy flat things on them to straighten them out. What's cool though is that the flying kaiju in this set come with articulated stands. These are the exact same stands that came in the Toho Super Weapon set, but at half the height. I assume that has to do with stability. These figures are significantly larger and heavier than the Super X figures, and any taller stand would just collapse under that weight. Also, it's a tiny little peg that plugs into the body, and I'm worried about that breaking off and getting stuck in there. Mothra's body, though, looks great, both in terms of sculpt and paint. The body is definitely bigger than the earlier high-grade Mothra, and the wings too, but not by much. For the exact measurements, her body is 2¼ inches long, with a 5-inch wingspan. The wings here are lacking paint on a couple of the stripes on the top of the wings, and all of the stripes on the bottom. But at least the rest of the bottoms of the wings are fully painted, which is more than we can say for the Movie Monster Series figure. Yikes. The original high-grade Mothra has fully painted tops and bottoms of the wings, and they are a more screen-accurate orange. The new one has much deeper, almost red coloring, which is a closer match to the Movie Monster Series figure. But while the paint might not be the most complete or screen-accurate, the sculpt rocks. This might be my new favorite Mothra 92 figure. I just wish we had a Godzilla to go with her. We do have a Batra though. And I gotta be honest, Batra is one of my least favorite kaiju designs, so much so that this is the only adult Batra figure that I have. I do love the larva though. The wings on my copy were also warped in the capsules, but at least they were warped in the same direction, so I'm not gonna bother flattening them out. While Batra doesn't need much paint, the paint we get is kinda meh. You do have the red eyes, but the yellow on the horns is very light, and there's a little red dry brushing on the back. The wing tops look fine with the yellow and red lightning design, but the bottom only has the red. I guess most of their paint budget went into the Mothra. I've noticed that with other more recent HG sets, they rely mostly on the color of the plastic with very little paint. The Destroy All Monsters set did just that. Godzilla and Gorosaurus in the same dark green material with a little paint on the eyes, teeth, and claws, and then Rodan and Baragon in the same brown material with some eye and claw paint. Earlier high-grade Rodans and Baragons were almost completely covered in paint. But what Batra lacks in paint, she makes up for in detail, which, ironically, would be so much easier to see with just a little more paint. She also comes with a flight stand, which is cool, but like the Mothra, the stand is only 2 segments high. At 2 3/4 of an inch long, with a wingspan of just over 5 inches, I think she would topple if the stand was any higher. A larger stand would work if it was stiffer, but having the ability for the stand to bend is a smart choice when it might get bent inside the capsule. Instead of a 92 Godzilla to go with them, we do get a Millennium Godzilla, which I'm not mad at. Sure, we have 0 92s, while this is Bandai's 3rd iteration of a Godzilla 2000 in the high grade series. For some reason, they just can't get the head right. The first one was so bad that I no longer own it and opted for the Mega Gearus version, and the second one is kind of hilarious to me. This one, though, I like. The head sculpt is far and away the best, although the proportions do seem kinda off here. Is this head way too big, or have I looked at so many G2K minifigures that I don't even know what to think anymore? My favorite, proportionally, is still the Yuji Sakai Complete Works version. I do like how the high-grade figures are getting bigger, even if just by a little bit. This guy stands at 3 inches tall and 5 1/4 inches long. I believe the original HG figures retailed for 200 yen, but lately they've been retailing for 500 yen. I know it's a 150% markup, but still a fantastic price for what you get, and the fact that they're getting bigger means you're theoretically getting more bang for your buck. The only problem I really have with this guy is that he towers over the high-grade Orga and may actually be a better match for the Orga from the Hyper series. High-grade figures don't typically have articulation. The arms on this guy are glued on, so you're not really going to get any posability out of him, but I'm okay with that. Saving the best for last, Baby Godzilla. To prove that I'm not looking at him with rose-flavored glasses, you heard me, I'm going to start with some gripes, which are all about the paint. This little guy does have paint on the claws, toes, teeth, eyes, some dorsals, and inside the mouth. Not a bad amount of paint for a high grade, but still severely lacking. Where's the red in the eyes? Where's the underbelly paint? What about the rest of his dorsals? Seriously, they only painted 5 of them. Paint aside, the sculpt is absolutely phenomenal. One of the best Baby Godzillas out there, definitely blows the previous Baby Godzilla capsule figures out of the water. The detailing on the sculpt is so good. It really needs a wash or some dry brushing to bring it out. I'm definitely gonna paint this guy up. Even just the gray prototype was enough to sell me on him. But that's part of the beauty of the high-grade line. They're cheap, which makes it easier to forgive paint shortcomings. Like, this Mothra is literally 1/6 the cost of the movie Monster Series Mothra. Not only are they cheap, but they're plentiful. I got my set from Rip City Kaiju, but there are many other listings on eBay and the Japanese aftermarket sites like Yahoo Japan and Mandarake, at least as of the recording of this video. And since they're so small, they don't take up much space at all, and in cases like this Baby Godzilla, they might even scale well with your larger figures. I'm so glad that this decades-long toy line is still going strong, filling out their roster with figures they haven't done yet, like the Baby Godzilla, and giving much-needed updates to others like the Millennium. I have been dying for a Baby Godzilla, Godzillasaurus, and an updated Godzilla Jr., so hey, one down. Each new high-grade set slaps me back into the perspective of enjoyment per dollar. Each figure in this set cost me less than $9. And I love this Baby Godzilla, but there's definitely room for improvement paint-wise. However, that's 1/10 the cost of an Ultimates figure. That's 1/33 the cost of some Sofubi that I have. Do I love that Ultimates 10 times more than this high grade? Do I love that Sofubi 33 times more than this high grade? Obviously, each kind of figure brings something different to the table. Sculpt, articulation, accessories, size, gimmicks, material. I believe you should collect what you want to collect, but also it's so easy to get sucked into spending so much that it's nice to get the high grade reminder that I can get so much joy out of spending so little. Now, I'll never be done with the Sofubi or highly articulated figures, and if Monster Arts ever did do a Baby Godzilla, that may even dethrone this little guy, but the high grades will always have places on my shelves. I'm not sure which series is next, but I'm already 100% in. And I have been thinking that some of these Showa Gamera Kaiju are long overdue for updates. Let me know down below which high grade figures are your favorites or what's on your high grade wish list. While you're typing that out, I want to thank you for watching and remind you to always drink responsibly.